Hello friends, this is Dr. Benjamin Smith, lecturer in philosophy at Catholic Studies Academy. In a previous episode, I introduced the distinction between what is really desirable and what is only apparently desirable. Now this is really the key foundational distinction in classical ethics. According to this distinction, some things are really worthy of our pursuit and others are not. Some deserve our attention and our time and others do not. And we don't want to waste our lives. That is, we want to commit our lives to pursuing those things that are really worthy of our investment, worthy of our choice, and worthy of our intention. That is, those things that are really desirable. Now, making this distinction, of course, is very controversial. It's certainly out of step with contemporary ethical thought, but it's well within the mainstream of classic Western ethical and moral thinking. But in order to defend it, right, we need to be, and really to understand it adequately, we need to be able to explain clearly what is the foundation for distinguishing between what is really desirable and what is only appears to be desirable but is not, right? So what we need is some sort of clear criteria for distinguishing these things. And interestingly, both Aquinas and Aristotle and St. Thomas think about this in terms of reality itself. That is, what is really desirable is something that is desirable in view of reality, right? That is, the underlying reality of the agent, right? That is, of the person acting, is that which determines what is really desirable. Maybe a way of putting this that might help is you're asking yourself really, well, what is desirable? That is, what course of action is proportionate to who and what I am? I'll say it again. What course of action is proportionate to who and what I am? Not necessarily what I want, how I feel, those sorts of things. Rather, the reality of who I am and the reality of what I am. So what am I? I am a rational animal, according to Aristotle. That is, I am a living kind of thing. I'm a living kind of thing that enjoys sensation and sense passions and things of that nature. But I'm also a rational kind of thing, right? That is, I'm a rational animal. I'm an animal that can think, that can understand, that can distinguish, that can argue, that can speak. All of those sorts of things, right? So the question then is, what sort of action is proportionate to being a rational animal, being the kind of thing that can think, that can uncover the truth, those sorts of things. One thing that Aristotle would say for sure, and St. Thomas as well, that one of the things that's fitting, proportionate, desirable for the kind of thing I am, is to keep myself alive, self-preservation. So eating, clothing the body, taking care of the body, sheltering the body, those sorts of things are all good and desirable kinds of things. Also, as a rational animal, it's good and desirable for me to learn the truth, especially the truth about God. In addition to that, humans are social animals. That is, we are kinds of animals that operate best and most efficiently in a social setting. And so for that reason, right, we need to act in a way that's proportionate to being a citizen, proportionate to being a member of the community. We should obey the laws, for example, as long as they are basically just laws. But in addition to that, there are particular things about me, like about who I am, right? So I said who you are and what you are. Who you are has a lot to do with just your individuality or your individual circumstances. Individuality is probably a little too subjective, but your individual circumstances. So, for example, I am a father, I am a teacher, those sorts of things, right? I'm a member of a particular business, you could say, right? Given those individual circumstances, there are other things that are proportionate to me. For example, to provide for the well-being of my children. So the question about what's desirable or what is not really desirable is not in fact arbitrary or completely subjective. That is, there is a clear criteria that we can use, that we can employ, that will help us to distinguish between what's really desirable and what is not. What's really desirable are those things that are fitting and proportionate to who and what I am, right? With this in mind, we can actually begin to identify many actions that are truly desirable for a human being and many actions that are not. And I'll illustrate this principle with some more specific examples in the next episode. I hope you found these comments edifying and useful. Until next time, God bless.